Most people consume too much and build too little. A while ago, I noticed something strange. People were busier than ever, more informed than ever, more connected than ever, yet financially, many still felt stuck. And at first, it didn't make sense because on the surface, everyone looked productive, watching podcasts, reading books, scrolling through business, content, learning about investments, talking about opportunities. But then I realized something important. Most people are consuming constantly, but building very little. And that difference changes everything because consumption feels productive even when nothing is actually being created. Let me explain. Imagine someone who spends every evening watching fitness videos, workout tips, meal plans, motivational clips. After a few months, they know a lot, quite a lot, but their body hasn't changed. Why? Because information alone doesn't create transformation. Execution does. Money works the exact same way. And this is where many professionals quietly get trapped. Not because they lack ambition, but because modern life rewards consumption. Think about it. Every app is designed to keep your attention. YouTube recommends another video. Instagram shows another success story. TikTok gives another financial shortcut. And suddenly, hours disappear. You feel mentally stimulated but financially unchanged. That's the hidden danger. Consumption creates the illusion of progress because learning feels productive. And to be clear, learning matters. Financial education matters. Understanding money matters. But eventually, consumption must turn into construction. Otherwise, you become financially entertained instead of financially transformed. A while back, I noticed this difference very clearly between two professionals. Both wanted to build extra income. Both were intelligent. Both hardworking. Both serious. The first person consumed constantly. Every new opportunity interested them. Crypto this week, drop shipping next week, a new side hustle after that. They watched everything, learned everything, but never stayed long enough to build anything. Now compare that with the second person. Much simpler approach. They chose one system, one extra plan, one savings structure, one investment approach. Nothing flashy, but every week they built slowly, consistently, and 6 months later, the difference was obvious. The first person had more information, the second person had more results. That's when something clicked for me. Consumption expands awareness, but building creates wealth. And most people spend too much time preparing and not enough time producing. This is why so many professionals feel mentally exhausted today because consumption overloads the brain. Too many options, too many strategies, too many possibilities. And every piece of new information creates another decision. Should I try this? Should I switch? Am I missing out? That constant mental switching creates financial paralysis. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth. A lot of people are not financially behind because they lack opportunities. No. They are behind because they never stay focused long enough for anything to compound. And compounding requires repetition, not constant novelty. This is why building often feels boring because real wealth is usually built quietly. A consistent saving system, a repeatable business model, a stable investment habit, a structured extra income routine, not viral excitement, just repeated execution. Now, there's a reason movies like The Karate Kid resonate decades later. Wax on, wax off. Simple repetition. At first, it looks meaningless, almost too basic, but over time, those repeated actions become skill. Financial growth works exactly the same way. And this is where the 3C trader method becomes different. Because most people are taught how to chase money, but very few are taught how to build systems. Systems that survive, busy schedules, low energy, real responsibilities. That's why financial education comes first. Because if someone makes more money without understanding structure, they usually create chaos, more spending, more impulsive decisions, more distractions. Income without structure disappears quickly. That's why the foundation matters. Clarity, control, consistency. Clarity means you stop chasing anything. You know what you're building. You understand your process. You remove unnecessary noise. Control means your financial behavior is intentional, not emotional, not reactive. You define how you spend, how you save, how you grow. And then consistency is what allows results to compound. Not intensity, not motivation bursts, but repeatable action. This is where many professionals need a mindset shift. Stop asking, what else should I learn? And start asking, what am I actually building? Because there's a difference between consuming financial content and constructing financial stability. One entertains you, the other changes your life. Now let's make this practical. A person spends 2 hours every evening consuming, watching videos, reading posts, researching opportunities. Another person spends 30 minutes executing, tracking finances, building a side income system, learning one high income skill deeply, managing investments consistently. Fast forward 1 year, the difference becomes massive. Not because one person was smarter, but because one person converted information into systems. And systems create leverage. This is why many wealthy people appear boring. They repeat the same behaviors, same investment principles, same routines, same structures. Because wealth is not usually built through constant excitement. It's built through controlled repetition. Now, here's something important. I'm not saying consumption is bad. The right information can completely change your life. But information should become implementation quickly. Otherwise, you become addicted to learning without ever producing results. And that's dangerous financially because eventually years pass. You know a lot, but your reality hasn't changed. That's why one of the most powerful financial questions you can ask yourself is this: what am I building consistently right now? Not what you're researching, not what you're planning, what you're building. Because wealth rewards builders. Builders of systems, builders of skill, builders of discipline, builders of assets. And assets are important here because consumers spend money on temporary stimulation. Builders spend time creating future value. The future value might be a business idea, an investment portfolio, a digital skill, a side income system, even a simple repeatable process that generates constant cash flow. But the key is this: something must be getting built. Otherwise, life becomes an endless cycle of consumption. More content, more entertainment, more stimulation without financial movement. And this is exactly why busy professionals often feel stuck. Not because they are lazy, but because their energy is constantly being absorbed instead of directed. Directed toward building. So here's the shift: consume with purpose, build with consistency. Because the goal is not to become the most informed person in the room. The goal is to become financially stable through repeatable systems that survive real life. And once you understand this, everything changes. You stop chasing constant stimulation. You stop switching every week. You stop confusing learning with progress. And instead, you begin constructing something real, quietly, clearly, consistently. Because in the end, financial freedom is rarely built by people who consume the most. It's built by the people who build the most. And the moment you shift from constant consumption to consistent construction, your financial life starts moving in a completely different direction.